All right, so you can basically see here that what we are doing is that we're trying to send email with node mailer, right? So let's look at this configuration first. What we have here is just a way for us to get the time to which the OTP will expire. Oh, the email we're actually sending basically has an OTP in it. It's a verify email template, right? So you can see here, we're going to actually look at this function first, right? So this function, basically what it's doing now is that it's trying to read the file. So we are actually using the otp.html file within our template directory. So in our template directory, there's an otp.html file. So we read this particular OTP, right? And then we already have our OTP code that we are passing to this function right here. So we are going to use this OTP code within the template. So we're actually using handlebars to compile the template. So when you do that, you can therefore pass data into it quite easily. So these are all the data we are passing into the template: the OTP code, the site title, the OTP validity, the email, like that. So we're passing everything here into the template. That means you can use any of this variable within the template. So I'm going to show you real quick how we do that. So let me search for OTP validity within the email. So you can see here, right here. Yeah. So there's OTP validity, right? So on and so forth, right? So that's the essence of, sorry, real quick. So that's the essence of we using handlebars to compile this particular template, right? So all this data gets transformed. We can use it within your HTML code, and everything will still render dynamically. So then we are now calling this send email function. This send email function is at the top right here. So what this function is doing is that we're actually using event emitter to send this email. We're not sending this email right on the go because a lot of obstructions can actually happen and it's way much more slower. So if you want to wait for it to send, it will actually wait, before executing or moving to the next line of code. So that's the essence of we getting this particular using event emitters here, right? So this we have a mail event, right? So this mail event basically have the send email function, right? So I'm going to open up this mail event right here. So mail event here, it's extended from here. So mail event, you can see from this code right here, is that we are setting up a listener within the constructor. Just know that anywhere, whether you're using event emitter or using socket, anywhere you see that on is a listener, don't emit, you are just trying to, emit an action, right? So on is always a listener. So we create our constructor, we listen for this function, which is definitely a listener for the email event. So this email event now, we expect it to take in some data. So this data is going to take in a data of object with property HTML and data, right? So then we're now sending the actual email right here. Do you understand, right? So that means this, whenever you listen to, you emit an event, you can use this function to emit an event. This dot email emitter, which is this emitter instance, dot emit. Then you pass in the email event. The email event is just a string. You can see right here, email event, just a way for us to identify our event. All right. So then data. So data is actually just an object of HTML and data right here. So this same thing is what we pass through here, is what we now use to send the actual email. So there's a function called send email with node mailer. This is under the provider's directory because it's a third party, application. So you can click on it now. Yeah, there we go. So you can actually see what we have here, right? Send email with node mailer. So it's taking in the HTML email to send and then the data. The data we've talked about it before, right? But this data basically is different. This data is the object of email is taken into properties, user email, and subject. I'll show you again where we are using this, right? So it's taken in, you can see it's taking in data, and this data is what is coming from, guess where it's coming from? It's the same data that's coming from email data. You get, so that same data for email data is what we are passing into this particular data. be able to set up the app password once you have your 2FA enabled, right? And then, right, so you can use this link to set up your app password. So you can just copy it and paste it to your browser, right? So it will redirect you to this page. So now you have to put in your password, right? So I'm not using this email. I'm using the email I just created with 2FA on. So I can click on it. Yeah, using the same password. So when you log in, so you're going to actually be greeted with this page, right? So select the app. If it's a web app, if it's for mail, right? So select mail, select your devices. So it can be anything basically. So I'll just select Windows computer, right? So generate. So this will actually generate an app password. So this is definitely the password that you can use, right? And then you can use this in wherever you go. Okay, all right. So you can see from this moment, we're using Stripo, right, to generate our emails. And one good thing about this platform is that their free plan is very generous. You can use it to do whatever you want, and you can actually get the code, the raw HTML code for this particular template. So this template now, I didn't build it from scratch. I didn't. So what I did was to get a pre-built template and then just edit it, to suit what I want, right? So I think the best way for me to be able to show you, because this is already a finished product, so the best way for me to show you that is to start from the very beginning, right? So we can definitely just go to stripo.com. So if you don't have an account, try to register. I think I'll register with your email, and that will be all. So yes, definitely once you enter the site, the very first thing you get the templates. So you can click on templates button right here. So and then you see a lot of options here. Right. So we have basic template, which is very important. Click on that. So we have like 35 different templates. Right, 35 different ones, and well, it's actually more than this, right? So these are just the basic ones, but what about if you need an already pre-built template, right? So you then click on the prepared template. So what I normally advise is I click on this free template option, and while we're clicking on this, we don't want to pay for anything, but if you want to pay, please do, because they are doing a great work here. And then what I normally do, click on type, then search for anything you're looking for. Like I was actually designing a template for reset or send OTP or verify OTP, but then I just hit the word reset, right? So I said something like reset, exactly. So I now saw a couple of templates that looks close to what I want, right? So I clicked on this one. So you wait for it to load. Exactly. So this is the template I just edited. So we can compare both. I'll take this one out. So I edited this template to become more like this, right? So this is the real template. This is the edited one. So I placed my logo here, just changed a few stuff with the text, and then we're good to go, right? So the good thing about this, as I'll show you now, is that you can preview each of like the entire flow, right? And then don't forget, there's actually a pre-header field here. Always include it, because if you actually go to some emails, right? Go to Gmail. All right, so this is actually a pre-header, right? This is a pre-header. What you see from here, exactly. So this is actually the pre-header. Right, so this is the first thing that the user gets to see when they open up their mail. So that's exactly why you have to set the pre-header here. It's extremely very important. And yes, with that out of the way, then you, as I was saying, you can actually just want to preview what you've done. And one way for you to be able to achieve that, and then even before previewing, there's an option for you to there's a code editor. Right, so all this code that I've done here, once you click on this button, you get to see all of them, right? So which is actually what I want, right? So I can just copy everything from here now. I can copy or I can just decide to export, right? So you can export them like this. Click on the export button, and then just choose the HTML, right? So this will actually export it as an HTML. So we want it to be an HTML file, right? So just download the file. So you can see it's exporting right here, and then it's exported. So you can click on the file. Good, there you go. This is your email. So everything will work perfectly the way you want it to, work, right? And then you can actually preview how it will be on mobile. So you can click on this little phone icon. Yeah, so you can see how it is on a mobile device, which is cool, well cooler than expected, right? And as let's code now, this HTML code, I can easily just copy it. Since I'm using that as my OTP, I can go to my downloads folder, new message. So I can just rename it to OTP. So I can cut it and take it to, yes, take it here. So there's nothing here, right? I can just delete. I already have OTP template. I can delete that one. So within this template, right, I can just drag this and drop it here. Good. So we already have our email all set up with our pre-header and everything, right? So you can easily edit this and put OTP as a title, right? And that's all. Everything works as expected. Can just hit Ctrl S to do auto formatting for us. Good. So I know it complains a lot. You can see some complaints. I'm actually using this sonar length extension that complains about a lot of how to specify table and the rest. So you can definitely, most of the time, it's just some few deprecations that you can handle on your own. But for the sake of this tutorial, those are not of importance, right? So yeah, you copy it now. You can be able to use this within your code. So this is part of the email service.